welcome everybody.
So, willkommen allerseits.
Let us begin with prayer.
Lasst uns mit Gebet anfangen.
Dear Heavenly Father,
Lieber himmlischer Vater,
I want to thank you for these days so far,
ich möchte dir danken für diesen Tag soweit
and thank you that we have this opportunity now to gather together and study.
und danke, dass wir hier zusammenkommen können, um zu studieren.
And I want to ask you that you give us open ears and hearts, that we would understand and receive the truth.
Ich möchte bitten, dass du uns offene Ohren und Herzen gibst, dass wir die Wahrheit verstehen.
And that please bless also Florence as he's trying to lay out his thoughts.
Und bitte segne Bruder Lorenz, wenn er versucht, seine Gedanken darzubringen.
And help us to stay attentive and also to remove all the other cares.
Und hilft uns jetzt aufmerksam zu sein und alle anderen Sorgen zu entfernen.
That we will be able to remember and concentrate on the topic.
Dass wir imstande sind, zu erinnern und auf das Thema zu konzentrieren.
In Jesus' name, amen.
In Jesu Namen. Amen.
Amen. Alright, so good evening.
So, guten Abend.
Yesterday we looked at the book of Hebrews
So, gestern haben wir das Buch Hebräer angeschaut.
and we saw basically that Paul told us that the Levitical priesthood is this illustration of the Galatians 4 experience.
Und wir haben gesehen, dass Paulus uns gesagt hat, dass die levitische Priesterschaft im Grunde zeigt uns der Galater 4 Erfahrung da.
It should lead us to Melchizedek, which is Christ.
Und das sollte uns zu Melchisedek führen, der Christus ist.
So, since we then understood that it's the schoolmaster,
So, da wir verstanden haben, dass dies der Schulmeister sei,
we are obviously now required to go into these things and study them.
und von uns ist jetzt erwartet, dass wir in diesen Dingen jetzt hineingehen und sie studieren,
In order that we can eventually come to Christ.
so dass wir auch letztendlich zu Christus kommen können.
Okay, so just to confirm this thought, let us go to this first quote that I posted.
Und um diese Gedanke zu bestätigen, gehen wir zu diesem ersten Zitat, die ich in der Livestream-Gruppe gepostet habe.
Okay, everybody there?
Jeder da?
It says, "We are to become familiar with the Levitical law in all its bearings, for it contains rules that must be obeyed. It contains the instruction that, if studied, will enable us to understand better the rule of faith and practice that we are to follow in our dealings with one another. No soul has any excuse for being in darkness. Those who receive Christ by faith will receive also power to become the sons of God." Okay, so clearly she says we should study this, right?
So, sie sagt ganz klar, dass wir die studieren sollen.
And we have no excuse to be in darkness about these things.
Und diese Sachen betrüglich haben wir keine Ausrede, in Dunkelheit zu sein.
And it would lead you to John 1:1.
Yes,
Und das führt zu Johannes 1, Vers 1.
and also verse 12. To him, those that receive them, to them he gives powers, power to give,
Auch
become
Vers
sons of
12, zu diejenigen, die ihm annehmen, gab er die Kraft, Söhne Gottes zu werden.
So when we understand, right, when you understand it, this leads you to Christ to be justified by faith, right?
Wir haben, wir haben verstanden, und wenn du dies verstehst, das führt dich zu Christus, dass du durch Glaube gerechtfertigt wirst.
Okay, so then let us go to the book of Leviticus.
So, gehen wir zum 3. Buch Mose,
Chapter 1.
Kapitel 1.
And I mean, when it says Levitical law, it does not necessarily only include the book of Leviticus.
Und wenn es sagt, das levitisches Gesetz, das beinhaltet nicht nur der 3. Buch Mose,
But mainly, okay.
aber doch hauptsächlich.
Because in the book of Leviticus, all these statutes and rituals and all these things are described. Okay.
Denn in das Buch Levitikus, also die Leviten, also 3. Buch Mose, sind all diese Statuten und Gebräuche und Riten dargelegt.
Okay. But on other passages of the Bible they are obviously then explained and elaborated on.
Aber in andere Teile der Bibel wird darauf eingegangen und tiefer gegangen.
Okay, so in Leviticus chapter 1 it begins with the burnt offerings.
Und in 3. Mose 1 fängt es mit den Brandopfern an.
Then in chapter 2 you have the meat offerings
In
mentioned.
Kapitel 2 sind diese Speiseopfer erwähnt.
Chapter 3 the peace offerings.
Kapitel 3 die Friedensgaben,
Opfer.
Opfer.
Chapter 4 is the sin offerings.
So Kapitel 4 sind die Sündopfer.
Chapter 5 you have trespass offerings.
In Kapitel 5 sind die Übertretungen Opfer.
And then chapter 6 and 7 is just a, let's say, a reiteration and also completion of these ordinances. Okay.
Kapitel 6 und 7 ist eine Wiederholung und eine Erfüllung all dieser verschiedenen Sachen.
So, Vervollständigung.
Also Vervollständigung.
Okay, so let us go to Leviticus chapter 1.
So gehen wir zu 1. Mose 1.
And tonight we want to look at the burnt offerings.
Heute Abend wollen wir diese Brandopfer anschauen.
And let us read verses 1 to 9.
Und wir lesen die Versen 1 bis 9.
It says, And the Lord called unto Moses, and spake unto him out of the tabernacle of the congregation, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, and say unto them, If any man of you bring an offering unto the Lord, ye shall bring your offering of the cattle, even of the herd and of the flock. So it's an offering of cattle, either of the herd or of the flock, right?
So bis Vers 2. Es ist eine Opfer von den Viehen oder den Schafen.
If his offering be a burnt sacrifice of the herd, let him offer a meal without blemish. He shall offer it of his own voluntary will at the door of the tabernacle of the congregation before the Lord. Okay, so where was it to be offered?
So, wo soll das geopfert werden?
The door of the tabernacle.
At the door of the tabernacle, right?
Am Tor der Stiftshütte.
Okay. And it was to be without blemish.
Und es soll ohne Makel sein.
Alright. Now verse 4.
Vers 4.
And he shall put his hand upon the head of the burnt offering, and it shall be accepted for him to make atonement for him. So this sacrifice, what did it do?
So dieser Opfer, was tat es?
Makes atonement, right?
Es macht eine Versöhnung.
Okay. Let's continue.
Gehen wir weiter.
Verse 5.
Vers 5.
And he shall kill the bullock before the Lord. So who's to kill the bullock before the Lord?
So, wer soll diesen Stier vor dem Herrn töten?
Sinner.
The sinner, right?
Der Sünde.
So the he here is the sinner, right?
So der hier ist der Sünder.
So, and he shall kill the bullock before the Lord, and the priests, Aaron's sons, shall bring the blood and sprinkle the blood round about upon the altar that is by the door of the tabernacle of the congregation. And he shall flay the burnt offering and cut it into his pieces. And the sons of Aaron, the priests, shall put the fire upon the altar and lay the wood in order upon the fire. So, Who is the he in verse 6?
Wer ist der Er in Vers 6?
Priest. Oh no, sorry, the sinner.
No, it's the sinner, right?
Das ist der Sünder.
So it always, the he is the sinner, and then it refers to the priest, what the priest is to do, right?
Also der Er ist immer der Sünder und die Priester werden immer so auch als Priestern genannt.
Okay, so just look at this. So this is the sinner,
Hier ist der Sünder,
priest.
hier ist der Priester.
So the sinner is to kill it, right? The offering.
Sünder soll das Opfer töten.
And he's also to cut it in verse 6, to flay it and to cut it in pieces, right?
Vers 6, er soll es auch häuten und in Stücke schneiden.
But the priest, according to verse 5, what is he to do?
Aber der Priest gemäß Vers 5, was soll er tun?
They take the blood,
Yes.
sprinkle it on the altar.
Take the blood and sprinkle it.
Er soll das Blut nehmen und es besprengen.
It says here, sprinkle the blood round about the altar of the tabernacle of the congregation. So sprinkle the blood
Altar herumspringen.
around. And what altar would this be?
Und welches Altar wäre das denn?
Brass altar.
Yes, the brass altar,
Das
right?
bronzene Altar.
It's the altar of burnt sacrifice.
Das Altar der Brandopfer.
Fiona, nimm dir einfach die ganze Mappe mit und okay. And then verse 7
Dann in Vers 7.
says, "And the sons of Aaron, the priest, shall put fire upon the altar, and lay the wood in order upon the fire. And the priests, Aaron's sons, shall lay the parts of the And the priests, Aaron's sons, shall lay the parts, the head and the fat, in order upon the wood that is on the fire, which is upon the altar." Okay, so what are the priests to do?
Was sollen die Priester tun?
Before that?
They lay the wood on the fire.
So verse 7 it says they put fire upon the altar and lay wood in order, right?
Vers 7 sagt, die taten Feuer auf das Altar und das Holz in Ordnung darauf gelegt.
And verse 8 it says,
Vers 8 sagt,
then they were to put the parts that were cut here by the sinner,
dann
right?
sollen sie die Teile, die hier von den Sündern bereits geschnitten worden waren,
Lay in the order upon the wood, right?
sollen sie in Ordnung auf den Holz legen
And the fire.
und Feuer.
Let's just say upon the altar. It includes both. Okay. Good. And now verse 9.
Vers 9.
It says, "But his inwards in his legs shall he wash in water, and the priest shall burn all on the altar to be a burnt sacrifice of an offering made by fire of a sweet savor unto the Lord." So here in verse 9,
In Vers 9
we again have the sinner mentioned, right?
ist der Sünder wieder erwähnt
And then also the priest. Okay.
und dann den Priestern danach.
So what is the sinner to do?
Was soll der Sünder machen?
Wash the inwards and the legs in water, right?
Soll die Innereien und die Beine in Wasser waschen.
So wash inwards plus legs water. And then the priest, what is the priest to do?
Der Priester, was soll er tun?
Yeah, to burn all this then on the altar, right?
Er soll das alle am Altar bringen.
So, okay, well, so now let us look at a few of these things, what they mean spiritually, right?
Lass uns einige von diesen Sachen anschauen, was sie geistlich bedeuten.
All right. So, okay, let us first go to Psalms 51.
Gehen wir zuerst zu Psalm 51.
Let us read verses 16 to 17.
Und lesen die Versen 16 und 17.
It says, For thou desirest not sacrifice, else would I give it. Thou delightest not in burnt offering. The sacrifices of God are a broken spirit, a broken and contrite heart, O God, thou wilt not despise. Okay, so here it speaks about the sacrifice and this burnt offering, right?
Hier spricht es über das Opfer und diesen Brandopfer.
So what should it point to?
So, auf was sollte es weisen?
Yeah, this broken and contrite heart, right?
Ein gebrochenes, reumütiges Herz.
So
Also, it's a fiery trial. It's the one and the same thing.
yes, okay. Let's just go one after another. So first we see here this broken and contrite heart, right?
Zuerst sehen wir dieses gebrochene und reumütiges Herz.
So just keep your finger here.
Halte den Platz hier.
Let us go to Romans chapter 12.
Dann gehen wir zu Römer Kapitel 12.
And verse 1 and 2.
Die Versen 1 und 2.
It says, I beseech you therefore, brethren, by the mercies of God, that ye present your bodies a living sacrifice, holy, acceptable unto God, which is your reasonable service. And be not conformed to this world, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind, that ye may prove what is that good and acceptable and perfect will of God. Okay, so what does it say here?
Sagt es hier.
Who's the sacrifice?
Wer ist dieser Opfer?
Yourself.
Yeah, yourself, yeah?
Du selber.
Okay, and you must present this holy sacrifice, it says here, right?
Du musst diese heilige Opfer darbringen.
Because this sacrifice was without
Denn dieser Opfer ist
blemish, right?
ohne Makel.
Okay. And what does it refer to according to verse 2?
Und gemäß Vers 2, auf was bezieht es sich?
Yeah, this renewed mind, exactly.
Diese
Okay.
erneuerte Gesinnung,
Yes.
erneuerten Verstand.
Because it says in verse 2, and be not conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind.
Durch
Yes?
die Erneuerung des Verstandes.
And when is your mind renewed?
Und wann wird dein Verstand erneuert?
After your sins have been purged.
Yes.
Malachi 3 and verse 3.
So, nachdem deine Sünden gereinigt worden sind.
Yeah, okay, we come soon to Malachi.
Because it's the same point as what you're referring to there in Romans 12.
Okay, we go there shortly after. Let's first go to Romans chapter 8.
Gehen wir zuerst zu Römer 8.
And let us read verse 6 to 8.
Wir lesen die Versen 6 bis 8.
For to be carnally minded is death, but to be spiritually minded is life and peace. So how many minds do you have here?
Wie viele Gesinnungen sind hier erwähnt?
2, right?
2.
Carnal mind and the spiritual mind.
Fleischliche Gesinnung, geistliche Gesinnung.
And the spiritual mind is the mind of Christ, right?
Geistliche Gesinnung ist eben den Verstand Christi.
Because the carnal mind is enmity against God, for it is not subject to the law of God, neither indeed can be. So then they that are in the flesh cannot please God. So when you are in the carnal mind, can you bring a perfect sacrifice to God?
Wenn du in der fleischlichen Gesinnung bist, kannst du eine perfekte Opfer Gott darbringen?
No, right? He
Nein.
will not please him.
Es
Okay.
wird ihm nicht gefallen.
So therefore the burnt sacrifice illustrates this perfect sacrifice. Okay?
Deswegen diese Brandopfer stellt diese perfekte Opfer dar.
It's when you offer now yourself up to the Lord.
Das
Okay?
wenn du dich selbst dem Herrn aufopferst.
Yeah, but it's now this, as we read in Romans 12, verse 1, it's this, yeah, that you fully dedicate yourself to Christ. Right?
So wie in Römer 12,1, wie wir gelesen haben, ist es, wo du dich völlig Christus weißt.
Okay, so now let us go also to Malachi.
Gehen wir jetzt auch zu Malachi.
And let us begin in verse 1.
Fangen wir in Vers 1 an.
Because in Romans 12, verse 1, what did it say? What should you offer up?
Römer 12, Vers 1. Was sagte es? Was solltest du aufopfern?
Offering and righteousness. Sacrifice.
Your bodies, exactly.
Dein
Okay.
Leib sollst du aufopfern.
And what does the Bible say? Your body is a temple.
Und
Yeah?
sagt die Bibel, dein Leib ist ein Tempel.
So now Malachi 3, verse 1.
Malachi 3, Vers 1.
Says, Behold, I will send my messenger, and he shall prepare the way before me, and the Lord whom ye seek shall suddenly come to his temple, or to the body, right?
So, der Herr wird plötzlich zu seinem Tempel kommen, oder den Leib eben.
Yeah, he comes to you.
Er kommt zu dir.
Even the messenger of the covenant whom ye delight in, behold, he shall come, saith the Lord of hosts. But who may abide the day of his coming, and who shall stand when he appeareth? For he is like a refiner's fire and like a fuller's soap. So what will he do with your body?
Das ist Vers 2. Also was wird er mit deinem Leib tun?
Purge you. Put you in the fire.
He lays you on this altar, this burnt offering.
Er legt dich auf diesen Brandopferaltar.
Altar of burnt offering, yes. Verse 3.
Vers 3.
And he shall sit as a refiner and purifier of silver, and he shall purify the sons of Levi, and purge them as gold and silver, that they may offer unto the Lord an offering in righteousness. Then shall the offering of Judah and Jerusalem be pleasant unto the Lord, as in the days of old, as in former years. So when he does this, when he puts you in the fire,
So wenn er dies tut, wenn er dich ins Feuer legt,
the result will be that your offering will become pleasant to him. Right?
das Ergebnis ist, dass dein Opfer ihm angenehm, wohlgefällig wird.
I mean, the fat is a different offering. We'll come to this later days.
No, it's only one offering. I'm just saying the fat will be gone because
Yes, but in this it's not mentioned about the fat. Okay, so the point is, what did we read in Romans 8?
So was haben wir in Römer 8 gelesen?
When you are under the flesh, you
Wenn du im Fleisch
cannot
bist,
please God, right?
du kannst Gott nicht gefallen.
I don't say fat ones. It's not that. Verse 8.
Doesn't
The
say?
priest Aaron's son shall lay the parts, the head, the fat, and all the
Okay. Then, sorry.
because the burnt offering has to burn the fat out.
Yes. Okay. So, but here it says, then the offering is pleasant, right?
Hier sagt es, dann ist das Opfer angenehm,
Therefore-
wohlgefällig.
What are you not anymore?
Deswegen, was bist du nicht mehr?
You're no longer carnal.
Du bist
Yes?
nicht mehr fleischlich.
So it shows that when he comes to the temple,
You have this faith.
this is when, changes your mind, okay?
Es zeigt, dass wenn du zum Tempel kommst,
When he comes to the temple.
es zeigt, dass wenn er zum Tempel kommt, er verändert deinen Verstand.
Okay, and
Pleasant means pleasing to God, so you've had this faith is revealed now.
yes.
And it's this faith that cleanses you of your sin.
Mhm.
Wohlgefällig ist angenehm vor Gott. Und also wenn du ihm gefällst, dann reinigt er dich von deinen Sünden.
Yes, let us go now to Peter, 1 Peter chapter 4.
Gehen wir jetzt zu 1. Petrus Kapitel 4.
Verse 12 to 13.
Die Verse 12 und 13.
It says, Beloved, think it not strange concerning the fiery trial, which is to try you, as though some strange thing happened unto you. What trial?
So, was für eine Versuchung?
Fiery trial.
Feurige Prüfung.
But rejoice, inasmuch as ye are partakers of Christ's sufferings, that when his glory shall be revealed, ye may be glad also with exceeding joy. Right? So,
Vers 13.
according to Daniel chapter 3, you cast into the fire furnace here. Right?
Gemäß Daniel 3 bist du hier ins Feuerofen geworfen.
Okay. And this is when Christ reveals himself to you. Yes?
Hier ist es, wo Christus sich dir offenbart.
Because when they were in the fiery furnace, Christ came into their midst. Yes?
Wenn sie im Feuerofen waren, kam Christus mitten unter sie.
There he came to his temple
Da kam er zu seinem Tempel,
in Malachi 3, right?
so wie in Malachi 3.
And he purged and purified them.
Und er läuterte und reinigte sie.
He changed their mind.
Er hat ihren Verstand erneuert.
And we read this in Hebrews.
Und wir haben das in Hebräer gelesen.
Today, when you hear his voice, don't harden your heart, right?
Heute, wenn ihr seine Stimme hört, verhärtet nicht euren Herzen.
So we saw that this is this day where it says, this day I've begotten thee, right?
Wir haben gesehen, dass dies ist dieser Tag eben, wo es sagt, an diesem Tag habe ich dich erzeugt.
Or in Ezekiel 16,
Oder in Hesekiel 16.
we saw it says, the day that thou was born, when I passed by thee.
Und es
Right?
sagte, an den Tag, wo du geboren warst, nämlich der Tag, an dem er an dich vorüberzog.
So it just shows here that this is this transition period between earth and heaven.
So,
Okay?
es zeigt uns eben, dass dies der Übergangsperiode ist zwischen zwischen Erde und Himmel.
Between carnal mind and spiritual mind.
Zwischen
Okay?
der fleischlichen Gesinnung und das Geistliche.
And at the end, then you're this perfect offering. Okay?
Und am Ende bist du dieser perfekte Opfer.
Okay. So because when you now go to 1 Corinthians chapter 3,
Denn wenn wir jetzt zu 1. Korinther Kapitel 3 gehen,
let us begin in verse 11.
und fangen wir in Vers 11 an.
It says, For other foundation can no man lay than that is laid, which is Jesus Christ. So here Paul speaks about this foundation, right?
Hier spricht Paulus über dieses Fundament.
Okay. And we know, for instance, these two tables are the foundation, right?
Und wir wissen, dass diese zwei Tafeln hier sind, das Fundament.
But they are the revelation.
Aber
Okay?
sie sind die Offenbarung.
So right here it will be seen whether you build on the true foundation.
So,
Right?
gerade hier wird es gesehen, ob du auf den wahren Fundament baust.
When the revelation comes, the two charts.
Wenn die Offenbarung kommt, diese zwei Karten.
Now if any man build upon this foundation, gold, silver, precious stones, wood, hay, stubble, every man's work shall be made manifest. For the day shall declare it. What will it declare it?
So, was werde es kundgeben?
The day, right?
Tag.
This day here when you're in the fiery
Das
furnace.
ist ein
Okay?
Tag hier, wo du im Feuerofen bist.
Because it says,
Und es sagt weiter.
For the day shall declare it, because it shall be revealed by Fire.
Es wird durch Feuer geoffenbart werden.
And the fire shall try every man's work of what sort it is. Okay?
Vers 13.
So therefore this fiery trial will just manifest what you prepared beforehand.
So, deswegen diese feurige Prüfung wird nur manifest machen, das, was du zuvor vorbereitet
And it
hast.
either will make you this perfect sacrifice at the end,
Es wird dich entweder diese perfekte Opfer am Ende machen,
or it will totally burn you up.
oder
Okay?
es wird dich total aufverzehren.
Okay. So now let us go back to Leviticus chapter 3.
So, gehen wir jetzt zurück zu 3. Mose 3.
Because we read here in verse 9
Denn wir haben in Vers 9 gelesen,
that the sinner was to kill it, to flay it, to cut it, but also then to wash the inwards and the legs in water. Right?
wir haben gesehen, dass der Sünder es töten soll, häuten soll, zerstückeln soll, aber auch die Innereien waschen und die Beine im Wasser waschen.
Okay. So water, what is it?
Und das Wasser, was ist das?
Let us go to Ephesians chapter 5,
Gehen wir zu Epheser 5.
verse 26.
Epheser 5 und Vers 26.
It says that he might sanctify and cleanse it with the washing of water by the word. Right? So the water is the word.
Das Wasser ist das Wort.
But the water, or the word is also the
Aber das Wort ist auch
John 17:17,
Johannes 17, Vers 17,
the truth. Right?
die Wahrheit.
Okay. So sanctify them
Heilige sie durch
by thy word is truth. Right?
dein Wort ist Wahrheit.
One second. How does it go again?
That's right.
No, sanctify them through thy truth, thy word is truth. Yeah.
Heilige sie durch die Wahrheit, dein Wort ist Wahrheit.
Now let us go back to Psalms 51.
Gehen wir zurück zu Psalmen 51.
Because we saw the inwards were to be washed by water, right?
Wir haben gelesen, dass die Innereien durch Wasser gewaschen werden.
Which is the word, which is the truth.
Das Wort ist, was die Wahrheit eben
So
ist.
let us read verse 6.
So lesen wir Vers 6,
Or we can even begin in verse 5.
sogar Vers 5.
It says, Behold, I was shapen in iniquity, and in sin did my mother conceive me. So this is when you have this natural birth here at the beginning, right?
Hier ist, wo du diese natürliche Geburt am Anbeginn hast.
Now you enter into the Galatians 4 experience,
Du
okay?
trittst in der Galater 4 Erfahrung ein.
Yes. But then what should happen?
Aber dann, was soll geschehen?
Verse 6.
Vers 6.
Behold, thou desirest truth in the inward parts,
Du verlangst die Wahrheit in die inwendigen Teile.
and in the hidden part thou shalt make me to know wisdom. So here the inward parts, truth should be in there, right?
In diese Innereien oder inwendigen Teilen soll Wahrheit sein.
Yeah. And we saw this is illustrated by washing with water, which is the word, which is the truth.
Wir haben gesehen, dass das dargestellt ist durch das Waschen, durch Wasser, was das Wort ist, was Wahrheit ist.
So we can see when you enter into this Galatians 4 experience, the Lord wants to cleanse you from within, right?
Du kannst sehen, dass wenn du in diesen Galater 4 Erfahrung hineinkommst, dass der Herr möchte dich inwendig reinigen.
Yeah. That eventually you can become this clean sacrifice at the end.
Dass letztendlich am Ende du dieser reine Opfer sein kannst.
Just go to the notes or the quotes in the livestream group.
Gehen wir wieder zur Livestream-Gruppe, zu den Zitaten.
Just go to the last quote.
Gehen wir zur letzten Zitat.
From 5 Testimonies.
Von 5t.
It says, Not one of us will ever receive the seal of God while our characters have one spot or stain upon them. It is left with us to remedy the defects in our characters, to cleanse the soul temple of every defilement. Then the latter rain will fall upon us, as the early rain fell upon the disciples on the day of Pentecost. So what does it say?
Was sagt es?
What is left with us?
Was ist uns überlassen?
To cleanse the soul temple of
Um das Seelentempel
every defilement.
von
Right?
jeder Verunreinigung zu reinigen.
Who was to wash the inward parts?
So, wer soll die Innereien waschen?
The sinner.
Der Sünder.
Right? It's an illustration that obviously you cannot change anything in you, but it's your decisions that you have to make, right?
Natürlich kannst,
Jeremiah chapter 4, I think he says the same thing.
Yes.
natürlich kannst du an dich selbst nichts verändern,
But it's your decisions that
aber
you
es
must
ist
make. Right?
deine Entscheidungen, die du treffen musst.
You must cooperate with God by coming to Him and asking Him to do this work. Okay?
Du musst kooperieren mit Gott und bitten, dass er diese Werk in dir vollbringt.
He will never do it without your consent and without your pleading to do so.
Er
Okay?
wird es nie tun, ohne deine Einwilligung und deine Flehen, dass er das tut.
Okay. So you said Jeremiah.
Yeah, I'm just reading it because I remember it says wash and make you clean.
Yeah. Wash thy heart from wickedness.
Yes.
Okay. So let us go to Jeremiah chapter 4.
So gehen wir zu Jeremia Kapitel 4.
And I think also Isaiah chapter 1 it was. That's probably what you referred to.
Yeah, Jeremiah 4:14.
Yes. So Jeremiah 4:14.
Jeremia 4, Vers 14.
Yeah, Isaiah 1.
It says, O Jerusalem, wash thine heart from wickedness, that thou mayest be saved. How long shall thy vain thoughts lodge within thee? So what defiles us?
So, was verunreinigt uns?
Our vain thoughts, right?
Wichtige Gedanken,
Our false concepts,
unsere falsche Vorstellungen,
which are our idols.
die
Okay?
unsere Götzen wiederum sind.
And the truth is to cleanse this inward part in us, right?
Die Wahrheit soll diese inwendige Teile in uns reinigen,
Which is the water.
was das Wasser ist.
Okay, now Isaiah chapter 1
That's 16.
Jesaja Kapitel 1
and verse 16.
und Vers 16.
Isaiah 1 verse 16.
Jesaja 1, Vers 16.
It says, wash you, make you clean, put away the evil of your doings from before mine eyes, cease to do evil, learn to do well, seek judgment, relieve the oppressed, judge the fatherless, plead for the widow. Come now and let us reason together, saith the Lord. Though your sins be as scarlet, they shall be white as snow, though they be red like crimson, they shall be as wool. So that's the promise, okay?
Das ist die Verheißung, Vers 18.
Okay, so this washing is this illustration of removing all these false concepts out of your heart. Okay.
Dieses Waschen ist eine Darstellung, dass du all diese falschen Konzepte aus deinem Herz entfernst.
Okay. So you can only be this perfect sacrifice when the truth is now in your inward parts. Okay.
Du kannst nur diese perfekte Opfer werden oder sein, wenn der Wahrheit in deine inwendige Teile vorhanden ist.
Okay. And then you are this clean temple that can be filled with the latter rain.
Dann
as we
wirst du
read.
dieser reine Tempel sein, die von den Spätregen gefüllt werden kann.
Okay. So now let us go back to the quotes
So gehen wir wieder zu den Zitaten in der
and
Livestream
let us read the third quote.
und lesen wir jetzt den dritten Zitat.
And that's by the pioneers from Haskell.
Und das ist von den Pionieren von Stephen Haskell.
Because in the burnt sacrifice, everything was to be consumed on the altar, right?
Im Brandopfer soll alles auf dem Altar verzehrt werden, also aufgebrannt werden.
Okay, so let us read what he says.
Lesen wir, was er hier sagt.
It says, the whole burnt offering was a type of the full consecration that must come into every life that God can use to His glory. So, what is it an illustration of?
So von was ist es eine Darstellung?
Full consecration,
Eine
right?
vollständige Weihung.
Yes? So, because everything was consumed for God, okay?
Denn alles war für Gott verzehrt worden.
So this illustrates full consecration.
Dies stellt vollständige Weihung dar.
Let us continue in the quote.
Lesen wir weiter, Zitat.
It says, Paul urged the fulfilling of the antitype in the following words. I beseech you therefore, brethren, by the mercies of God, that ye present your bodies a living sacrifice, holy, acceptable unto God, which is your reasonable service. So that's Romans 12, verse 1.
Das spricht über Römer 12,1.
In the steps to Christ, and the repentance chapter, the next one's consecration.
Yes, we will read the quote so shortly. It says here, the offering of the most costly animal was only an abomination to the Lord unless it was accompanied by the surrender of the heart and life of the one who offered it. Right? So the whole consecration is then about what?
Das ganze Weihung handelt sich über was?
The surrendering of the heart. Right?
Das Hingabe des Herzens.
That's what we read in Psalms 51.
Das haben wir im Psalm 51 gelesen.
Thou desirest not sacrifice,
Du verlangst keine Opfergaben,
nor delightest in burnt offerings,
noch hast du Wohlgefallen in Brandopfer,
but a broken and contrite heart. This is what you want, right?
in ein gebrochene und reumütiges Herz. Das ist es, was er möchte.
Okay, so the heart needs to be fully consecrated to God.
Okay. Dein Herz muss vollständig Gott geweiht sein.
So let us go just to the quote above.
Gehen wir zu den Zitaten darüber.
And this is where Sister White speaks about this consecration.
Hier spricht Ellen White über diese Weihung, Hingabe.
It says, the whole heart. How much of the heart?
Wie viel des Herzens?
The whole heart.
Das
Right?
Gesamte.
The whole heart must be yielded to God, or the change can never be wrought in us, by which we are to be restored to His likeness. By nature, we are alienated from God. The Holy Spirit describes our condition in such words as these, dead in trespasses and sins. The whole head is sick, and the whole heart faint. No soundness in it. We are held fast in the snare of Satan, taken captive by him at his will. God desires to heal us, to set us free. So unless you surrender the whole heart, in what condition are you?
So, es sei denn, dass du den ganzen Herz aufgibst oder hingibst. In welchem Zustand bist du?
You're in Egypt, right?
Du bist in Ägypten.
Okay. So you're the servant in bondage, right?
Du bist dieser Knecht in der Knechtschaft eben.
So God desires to heal us, to set us free, but since this requires an entire transformation, a renewing of our whole nature, we must yield ourselves wholly to Him. So you can only be born again if you bring this burnt sacrifice to Him, right?
Du kannst nur neu geboren werden, wenn du diese Brandopfer ihm bringst.
Yes, because this illustrates the full consecration to Him.
Die stellt der völlige Weihung zu ihm.
So none of us have yet given Him a burnt sacrifice, okay?
Keiner von uns hat ihm bereits den Brandopfer gegeben.
Goes on to say,
Sagt weiter.
the warfare against self is the greatest battle that was ever fought. The yielding of self, surrendering all to the will of God, requires a struggle. But the soul must submit to God before it can be renewed in holiness. Okay? So, therefore it shows us, is it an easy thing to bring this burnt sacrifice to God?
Es zeigt uns, ist das eine einfache Sache, diese Opfer Gott zu bringen?
For us, it's impossible.
Yes, it's this greatest warfare, okay?
Für uns ist es unmöglich, die größte Kriegsführung.
He has to light the fire
Yes, exactly.
and throw you in it.
Deswegen muss er den Feuer anzünden und dich da reinwerfen.
Yes, and I don't have this quote now here with me, but the fire on the altar was holy fire, okay?
Ich habe nicht diesen Zitat hier parat, aber das Feuer auf dem Altar war eben heiliges Feuer.
That's this fire here, okay?
Es ist diese Feuer hier.
It's the fire that will make it this transition from the carnal mind to the spiritual mind,
Es ist
okay?
diese Feuer, der den Übergang verschaffen wird zwischen der fleischlichen Gesinnung zum geistlichen über.
From sinfulness to holiness,
Von
okay?
Sündhaftigkeit zur Heiligkeit.
It's the day that you will be born,
Es ist diesen Tag, an dem du geboren wirst,
when He passes by before you.
wenn er an dich vorüberzieht.
Okay. Unless it says you harden your heart. in this day.
Es sei denn, sagt es, dass du dein Herz verhärtest.
Judas,
an dem Tag.
he hardened his heart. at this
Judas
day,
zum
right?
Beispiel, der hat sein Herz verhärtet.
Because Christ wanted to wash his heart from wickedness, right?
Christus wollte seinem Herz von aller Bösheit reinigen.
When he washed his feet.
Und sagen, wenn er seine Füße wusch.
Okay, good. So, and And therefore we can see that before we can give this sacrifice, the Lord will bring us into this fire.
Deswegen können wir sehen, noch bevor wir diesen Opfer geben können, der Herr wird uns in diesen Feuer bringen.
And it will be this great final struggle with self. Okay?
Es wird diese letzte finale Ringen mit dem Selbst.
But along the way, right, we already struggled against self. Yes.
Aber auf dem Weg entlang, wir ringen bereits mit dem Selbst.
Okay. So we need to basically learn how to give sacrifices to God, even though they are not perfect yet. Okay.
Wir müssen bereits lernen, Opfer Gott zu geben, obwohl sie noch nicht perfekt sind.
Okay. So let us just look at this. Okay.
Lasst uns das anschauen.
Let us go to Exodus chapter 29.
Lass uns zur 2. Mose 29 gehen.
And read verse 38 to 42.
Versen 38 bis 42.
Exodus 29,
2. Mose 29,
38 to 42.
Vers 38 bis 42.
It says, "Now this is that which thou shalt offer upon the altar, 2 lambs of the first year, day by day, continually." So about what offering is it speaking here?
So, über welche Opfer spricht es hier?
The daily
Das
sacrifice, right?
tägliche Opfer.
Verse 39.
Vers 39.
"The one lamb thou shalt offer in the morning, and the other lamb thou shalt offer at even." Right? Morning and evening sacrifice.
Morgen- und Abendopfer.
Just jump down to verse 41.
Bis Vers 41 jetzt.
"And the other lamb thou shalt offer at even, and shalt do thereto according to the meat offering of the morning, and according to the drink offering thereof, for a sweet savour, an offering made by fire unto the Lord." So it's this burnt offering, right?
Diese Brandopfer.
"This shall be a continual burnt offering throughout your generations at the door of the tabernacle of the congregation before the Lord, where I will meet you to speak there unto thee." So morning and evening, they were to surrender themselves to Christ, right?
Morgens und abends sollten sie sich Christus hingeben.
Full consecration to Him.
Volle
Okay.
Weihung ihm gegenüber.
Okay, now let us go also to Numbers 28.
Gehen wir jetzt auch zur 4. Mose 28.
Numbers 28,
4. Mose 28.
and let us begin in verse 3.
Fangen wir in Vers 3 an.
It says, "And thou shalt say unto them, This is the offering made by fire, which ye shall offer unto the Lord, 2 lambs of the first year, without spot, day by day, for a continual burnt offering. The one lamb thou shalt offer in the morning, and the other lamb thou shalt offer at even." So here again it speaks about the daily sacrifice, right?
Vers 4. Also hier spricht es wieder über das tägliche Opfer.
Morning and evening.
Morgens und abends.
But now jump down to verse 9.
Und jetzt Vers 9.
It says, "And on the Sabbath day, 2 lambs of the first year without spot, and 2/10 deals of flour for a meat offering mingled with oil, and the drink offering thereof. This is the burnt offering of every Sabbath, beside the continual burnt offering and his drink offering." So on the Sabbath, what was extra to the daily sacrifice?
Sabbat, was vorhin zusätzlich zu den täglichen Opfern?
Verse 9, right? "And on the Sabbath day, 2 lambs
2 Lämmer.
beside the daily offering," right?
Über den täglichen Opfern. Über.
Zusätzlich.
Zusätzlich.
Okay, so how many lambs do you have in total?
So, wie viele Lämmer gibt es dann?
4, right?
4.
So every day you had 2,
So jeden Tag hast du 2,
but on the Sabbath you had 4 in total.
aber am
Okay?
Sabbat hast du insgesamt 4.
So it's a double, right?
Das ist eben ein Doppeltes.
Yes? Okay. So shows you during the working days you should consecrate yourself to God, right?
Das zeigt, dass durch den Arbeitstagen sollst du dich Gott weihen,
But on the Sabbath you have to do it even more.
aber
Okay?
am Sabbat sollst du das sogar noch mehr tun.
And the doubling, what is it an illustration of?
Verdopplung ist eine Darstellung von was?
Latter rain, right?
Das Spätregen.
So it just shows you that when you enter into the rest on the Sabbath, you now receive the latter rain, which is this double consecration.
Das zeigt dir, wenn du in den Sabbat hineingehst,
Into the rest, when you enter
also
into
wenn
the
du
rest.
in den Ruhe des Sabbats hineingehst, dann erhältst du das Doppelte, also den Spätregen.
Okay. So, which is this double consecration.
Was diese Doppeltweihung ist.
Alright. And let us go now back to Leviticus chapter 1.
Gehen wir zurück zu 3. Mose 1
In verse 9.
und Vers 9.
Wo ist er noch?
Leviticus 1 verse 9. It says, "But his inwards and his legs shall he wash in water, and the priest shall burn all on the altar to be a burnt sacrifice, an offering made by fire of a sweet savor unto the Lord." So, when you offer this perfect sacrifice, this full consecration, what is it to God?
Wenn du diese perfekte Opfer, diese volle Hingabe aufopferst, was ist das für Gott?
Yeah, a sweet savor, right?
Ein Wohlgeruch.
Okay. So, let us look at this also.
Lass uns das auch anschauen.
Let us go to Genesis 8.
Gehen wir zu 1. Mose 8.
Yes, Genesis 8.
1. Mose 8.
Let us begin in verse 18, verse 21.
Wir fangen in Vers 18 an bis Vers 21.
This is now when Noah came out of the ark.
Hier,
Okay.
wo Noah aus der Arche herauskam.
It says, "And Noah went forth, and his sons, and his wife, and his sons' wives with him." So they went forth, right?
Sie gingen voran.
So they're sent in this sense, okay?
Sie sind in diesem Sinne gesandt.
"Every beast, every creeping thing, and every fowl, and whatsoever creepeth upon the earth, after their kinds, went forth out of the ark. And Noah builded an altar unto the Lord, and took of every clean beast, and of every clean fowl, and offered burnt offerings on the altar." What kind of offerings?
Was für Opfern?
Burnt offerings.
Brandopfern.
"And the Lord smelled a sweet savour, and the Lord said in his heart, I will not again curse the ground any more for man's sake. For the imagination of man's heart is evil from his youth, neither will I again smite any more everything living as I have done." So he offers now this burnt offering,
So, bringt diese Brandopfer,
which is this full consecration,
was
right?
diese volle Hingabe ist,
When he enters where?
wenn wo hineingeht.
Yeah, the land, right?
Das
The
Land
new earth.
hineingeht,
Okay.
das neue Erde.
It's void without darkness. It's just like it's a desolate wilderness when he comes in.
Yes, but
Make it new.
yes, he makes it new because it says the water flood is the fire flood, right?
Das sagt, das Wasserflut ist gleich das Flut von Feuer.
Yes. So he now enters the new earth, okay?
Er geht in die neue Erde ein.
And he says the Lord says he will not smite the earth with a curse anymore, right?
Er sagt, er wird nicht mehr die Erde mit einem Fluch.
So let us go to
schlagen.
Revelation 21.
Gehen wir zur Offenbarung 21.
Oh, excuse me, 22, sorry.
Verzeihung, 22. Offenbarung 22.
Verse 3.
Und Vers 3.
This is when it speaks about this new earth, right?
Und hier spricht es über diese neue Erde.
It says, "And there shall be no more curse, but the throne of God and of the Lamb shall be in it, and his servants shall serve him. So what won't there be anymore?
So was wird es nicht mehr geben?
No curse.
Kein
Right?
Fluch mehr.
Okay. Because the Lord smelled the sweet savor of this burnt offering.
Und
Right?
der Herr hat gerochen, dieser Wohlgeruch des Brandopfers.
And let us go also to, I think it's 1 Peter. 1 Peter chapter 3.
Zu 1. Petrus 3.
Verse 20 to 21.
Verse 20 und 21.
It says, 1 Peter 3, 20 to 21.
Petrus 3, 20, 21.
Which sometime were disobedient, when once the long suffering of God waited in the days of Noah, while the ark was a preparing, wherein few, that is 8 souls, were saved by water. The like figure whereunto even baptism does also now save us, not the putting away of the filth of the flesh, but the answer of a good conscience toward God by the resurrection of Jesus Christ. So what is he comparing the flood with?
So, womit vergleicht
And
den
the ark?
Fluch?
With baptism, right?
Taufe.
Yes, with a pure conscience, yes?
Ein reines Gewissen.
So in this what we read here, the types cannot make your conscience perfect, right?
Das haben wir hier gelesen. Die Typen kann deine Gewissen nicht reinmachen.
But when you're baptized, you now have this clean conscience, yes?
Wenn du getauft wirst, hast du dieses reine Gewissen.
Okay, so it just shows you that when Noah came out of the ark, it marks this born again experience, right? The
Das
baptism.
zeigt uns, wenn Noah aus der Arche herauskam, es zeigt diese Neugeburtserfahrung da. Die
Just an
Taufe.
illustration how he came out of the water now, right?
Eine Darstellung, wie er aus den Wassern
And
herauskam.
when he came out of the water, he gave this burnt sacrifice.
Als er aus
Okay?
dem Wasser herauskam, er gab diese
And
Brandopfer.
it was a sweet savor in the nose of God. Okay?
Es war ein Wohlgeruch in der Nase Gottes.
Okay.
And so when he built the ark, then it was actually his Galatians 5 experience.
Yes,
Because he
in
built it according to the
some sense.
pattern.
Yes, yes.
Also als er die Arche,
Yes.
als er die Arche gebaut hat, dann es war den Galater 4 Erfahrung für ihn, denn er hat es den Muster nachgebaut.
Yes. He built it according to the pattern, like the temple. Right?
Er hat es den Muster nachgebaut wie der Tempel.
Yes, amen. Okay, so in this sweet savor, okay,
Und dieser Wohlgeruch,
this is what we need to understand, that here is always this sweetness marked. Okay,
hier ist immer diese Süße markiert.
John, what did he eat?
So, Johannes, was aß er?
Sweet.
The sweet book, right?
Der kleine Buchlein, der süß
Ezekiel,
war.
yeah, sweet as
Ezekiel
honey.
auch, so süß
Okay.
wie Honig.
And you also have the sweet incense that is offered.
Und
Okay.
es gibt auch diese süße Weihgeruch, der geopfert wird.
Phineas, when he stuck the spear through them, the Lord stopped the plague. And it says that he made a
Atonement.
atonement for them.
Yes.
Because he turned my wrath away. And
Consecrated the congregation again to God, right?
yes, yes, yes. And it says that he says, I will make with them a covenant of peace. That's his point. Because that spear, if I remember in the New Testament, something to do with being sent. You know, Christ was sent. I remember this, looking at this years ago, there was this something to do with a spear. And it means to be sent. And it was marked when Christ was sent. It's the same point in time prophetically. So that spear is marking this point.
Just wanna
It
mention.
doesn't matter, you don't have to translate it. Just
No, just this the thing with Phineas.
Als er den Speer durchbohrt hat und es hat den Fluch aufgehalten, dann ist markiert derselbe Punkt, wo du gesandt wirst, prophetisch.
Yes, and it marks the point where he now made an atonement, it says.
Und es markiert der Punkt, wo er eine Versöhnung macht,
So because he now reconsecrated the congregation to God.
weil er die Versammlung Gott neu geweiht hat.
Okay, so In this sense, he gave God a burnt offering. Okay.
In diesem Sinne gab er Gott ein Brandopfer.
Okay. So, all right. So the time is already up now,
Es ist die Zeit ausgegangen.
but we can see here that this sacrifice points to the time when you are born again. Okay.
Diese Opfergabe weist auf den Punkt hin, wo du neu geboren wirst.
Where you give this full surrender to him, right?
Und diese völlige Hingabe ihm gibst.
Yeah, the whole heart. Okay.
Das ganze Herz.
But in order that you can do so, he puts you in the fire first.
Aber
Okay.
so, dass du das tun kannst, er tut dich zuerst ins Feuer.
And the putting in the fire for the first group here, the second group here. Okay.
So, in das Feuer gehen für die erste Gruppe hier, der zweite Gruppe hier.
This is basically where you must make the choice. Yeah, choose you this day whom you shall serve.
Hier
Okay.
ist es, wo du den Wahl treffen musst. Also wählet heute, wem ihr dienen wollt.
Whether you want to remain with self or you now surrender to God. Okay.
Ob du bei dich selbst, das Selbst bleiben möchtest oder bei Gott.
Okay. And we can see the sinner has a part to play in all this, right?
Wir können sehen, dass der Sünder eine Rolle hierin spielen muss.
As it says, it's left with us to make the decision to give God the permission to purge our hearts from wickedness, right?
Dass es uns überlassen ist, Gott die Entscheidung zu geben.
No. It's left with us to make the decision to give God the permission to cleanse our heart from wickedness.
Es ist mit uns überlassen, dass wir die Entscheidung treffen, Gott den Erlaubnis zu geben, unser Herz von Bösheit zu reinigen.
Yes. Okay. And these other parts we can maybe look in future studies. Okay.
Diese anderen Teile hier werden wir in künftigen Studien anschauen.
But once we give this burnt sacrifice, this will be a sweet savor of God.
Wenn wir diese Brandopfer geben, es wird Gott ein Wohlgeruch werden.
And He will remove the curse from us.
Er wird den Fluch von uns
Just like He
entfernen,
removed it from Noah. Okay.
so wie er es von Noah entfernte.
So we can clearly see our condition, right?
So, wir können auf jeden Fall unseren Zustand sehen.
As long as we are not giving this burnt sacrifice, we are still under the curse. Okay.
Solange dass wir nicht diesen Brandopfer geben, sind wir noch unter dem Fluch.
And every day we can see it in our faces, right?
Jeden Tag können wir das in unseren Gesichtern sehen.
Okay. But may the Lord prepare us to endure the fiery trial. Okay.
Möge der Herr uns vorbereiten, den feurige Prüfung auszuhalten.
Amen.
Amen.
Okay. Then let's close with prayer.
Dann lass uns mit Gebet Schluss machen.